Hello, everyone. Hello, welcome to my Patreon page. As promised, I told you all I would do a debrief and kind of share what all transpired in Tampa for my first official Unfuck America tour. And I just have to say, it was a truly incredible experience. I'm very excited to be a part of this tour and to continue, hopefully making a difference as we come into the midterms and then eventually the next election cycle. So when I got to Tampa, first of all, I'm currently in Arizona. As you can see, I live in an RV. I'm currently in Arizona, so I'm in the high desert right now. And when I first landed in Tampa, it was like the humidity. I was like, send me back to the desert, please. If you follow me on Instagram stories, I talk about it a lot that 90 and no humidity is like quite pleasant. It's actually like 85 as I'm sitting out here right now. But like 90 and humid is like unbearable. So anyway, that was my first experience hitting Tampa. But then as soon as I got to the hotel to check in, I was in line to get checked into my room. And Robbie was the first one to notice me. And he hollered, "Hey, Amy." And there was a handful of people already sitting there in the hotel lobby. So I went over and we're all huggers. And so we all kind of hugged and introduced ourselves because none of us, or at least I haven't met any of these folks in person yet. Some of them have met before, but most of us, it was our first time all meeting each other in person. And so we all hung out and chatted. Um, and then we had dinner that evening as a group. So we went out to dinner and Mercedes, who is Camp Callout on Instagram, she's kind of like Z is the official person running it. She started National Ground Game, the pack that the UFA tours is run under, but Mercedes is kind of in charge of finding all the creators. So at dinner, Mercedes, she's friends with Clarkson Lawson, who is Clarkson Lawson on Instagram. Um, so he lives in Tampa. So we went over to his apartment and him and his friends were so hospitable and welcoming. And, I was a little nervous going into this because most of these creators are somewhere in that 25 to 35 range. And I'm over here at 50. And so I was a little nervous that I feel like the old grandma coming along. But everybody made me feel so welcome. I felt youthful except for my knees. Um, and so we went over to Clarkson's and we started doing shots of Tito's because somebody thought that was a good idea of what to do shots of, um, which is vodka, if you don't know. And so I was like, I'll just do a half shot because he was making quite generous sized shot glasses. And then it was like, so first of all, I had gotten up at 3 a.m. Pacific time to get out there because I had to get to the Tucson airport, like an hour away from me. Um, and then I flew through Atlanta into Tampa. And so by now it was like 11:30 ish. And I was like, I need to go to bed, y'all. Because they were about to go to the club. So I took an Uber back to the hotel and I went to bed as best I could. I didn't sleep really great. You know how when you kind of are overtired, like you're really hopeful that you're gonna just crash out and then you don't. Um, so they all stayed out till 3 in the morning. I am not youthful enough to do that anymore. So I was glad I went back when I did. Anyway, then we all got up for breakfast and we had a group breakfast in the morning and kind of went over our game plan for the day. And one really cool thing okay, let me back up just a little bit before I get to the cool thing. So on my flight from Tucson to Atlanta, I got the email that said your tickets have been canceled and refunded to Turning Point USA, which is Charlie Kirk's event. And we already had one creator had his ticket canceled a week earlier. And then, so I landed in Atlanta. I shared in the group that might have been canceled. And then, like, one by one, everybody was starting to say, yep, my tickets were canceled too. So we all got canceled. He wasn't letting any of us into his event, which is fine. We fully anticipated we'd probably get kicked out. I guess we didn't see getting our tickets canceled ahead of time being the problem, but that's actually what happened. So, including Destiny was our headline debater, and he actually had two scheduled debates inside TPUSA. They have what's called Media Row, like Fox News was there, CNN was there, like a whole bunch of um, podcasters, like anybody who's who in the Republican Party had a booth in Media Row. And so he was scheduled to have two debates in Media Row, but his ticket was canceled. And so we're like, well, we'll just deal with it the day of, and see if we just can't get him in for the debates. So at breakfast, Z shared with us, introduced us to Sean and David, who were from CNN. And they were there documenting the UFA tour. And so they were going to be following us around the whole time we were in Tampa. They were with us all day, Saturday and Saturday evening. They were there at breakfast that morning. So it was in TPUSA's best interest to allow Destiny in because CNN was right next to him as he walked into the convention center. So they did agree. They allowed him to go in for his debates. They escorted him there and then escorted him out as soon as he was done. So interesting, right? And so as we were outside chatting with some of the attendees, a lot of them were really unpleased that Charlie didn't let us in. Like, we understand it's a private event and he can make that choice to do whatever he wants to do. We get that. But at the end of the day, he's all about free speech, and then to not let us in. We weren't there to like cause trouble. We were just there to talk with the MAGA crowd and get their thoughts and opinions on things. And we did that outside. So he didn't stop us at all. We just had to stay 6 feet from the curb. But we had a lot of incredible conversations, and a lot of the folks were really unpleased that he didn't let us in. They didn't think that was fair, especially since we had paid for tickets. And yeah, so anyway, we had some really great conversations. Robbie dressed up as Gary, the Guantanamo Gator, and he had his karaoke machine, and he sang some great songs such as Trump was on the Epstein plane, and I Get High with My MAGA Friends. He had some really good ones. It's too bad he didn't have an Ozzy now that we look back at this. So yeah, we had a great time outside. I had the megaphone for a while, and Patsy was videotaping me, and I was, letting all the MAGA women know, thank a feminist for being able to wear pants, thank a feminist for your jeans, thank a feminist for your credit card and your ability to vote. So that was a fun time. It was hot and humid, and fortunately it was overcast the entire day, because if that sun had been out, we'd have been in trouble. But here's something cool that happened. There's nowhere to get food or drink anywhere really outside, but inside, right, there's like the traditional convention center has like their little kiosks that you can buy food and drink. And so some of the MAGA folks were actually going in and buying us ice cold water and bringing it out to us. I learned that later. And I had sat down on the steps. So Gary the Gator, he went in incognito. He put a jersey over his alligator costume, and he went in. He didn't lose his ticket because his legal name doesn't match his online name, so he hadn't gotten canceled. And Patsy wasn't part of our group, so she also hadn't been canceled. So she went in to be his videographer, and he went in to Charlie was interviewing Russell Brand for his podcast. And so he went in early, got a seat up front. And as soon as the two of them came in and were introduced, he got up and asked Charlie why he won't debate him. So I have some good footage on my Instagram if you want to go watch that. But I was so proud of him. I mean, it takes some pretty big balls to go in and do something like that, knowing you're going to get your ass hauled out of there. And so yeah, so that all happened in the afternoon. And then after he got kicked out, he sat on the steps and was playing it on his phone so CNN could zoom in and record it. And I sat down because I'm like, I really should sit down because it's been like 6 hours since I've eaten. It's been a couple hours since I've drank my water. It's hot, it's humid, my knees hurt. I better sit down. And I almost couldn't get back up. I was like, I told Patsy, I'm like, I really need a water. And our water was in our wagon, which was like a city block or so away from us. So she helped me. She just like gave me a hand to help me stand up. And as I was standing up, a really cute little MAGA couple came by and she was like, do you need water? Would you like an ice cold water? And I was like, actually, yes, I really would. And so she gave me her water and, I kind of put it on the back of my neck first because I was warm. And she was just telling me how they had been carrying some extra waters with them because she knows how hot it is out and that she knew some of us might need water. And then like I said, I later learned that part of our group that was on the other side of the convention center, they were going in and buying and bringing out water for us. And so I just, we have to give credit where credit is due. People are still good humans. And just because they're MAGA doesn't necessarily mean they're a bad human in all capacities. I mean, I think you guys get what I'm trying to say. And so I just want to point that out, that they were very considerate and kind. They knew who we were. They knew we were there. We were the loony liberals, Speaking of water. But also while we were talking to these folks, there were quite a few people I spoke to who don't necessarily agree with everything Trump's been doing. And they're very tired of Charlie Kirk and they're considering leaving the Republican Party. They're much more moderate. And so they're considering voting independent or maybe even Democrat, depending, who's on the ticket in the next election. So that's promising and reassuring. So then we all went back to the hotel. We took a nice cold shower, got ready for our event that evening, and then headed over to the restaurant where we were hosting our debate. Again, Destiny was our headliner. Ethan also did a debate, and then Kyla is so not erudite. She was live streaming it through her channel on YouTube, which you can go see the whole thing. I'll try and find that link for you all, that below. So we had several hours of debate, but as folks were coming in, so we completely sold out the facility. We could only hold 200 people, and we had completely, sorry, I got an ant on me, and they do bite. So we had sold out. 90% of the tickets were to MAGA creators because they were coming in wanting to debate Destiny. And I sat at a table, someone that I just met through Instagram. She lives in Tampa, and so she ended up coming. Danielle, hi Danielle, if you're watching. And so her and I sat together, and then these like 5 or 6 guys sat at our table. And so I was just asking them, to tell me their thoughts on things. And so they identify as Christian nationalist patriots. They believe in America first. And when I asked them what that meant to them, they meant that we don't help any other countries like Israel, Palestine, Russia, Ukraine. We only help ourselves. And they also believe in a monarchy system, which is interesting because that's not at all American. I'm like, can I just, pick your brain a little bit? I go, I'm not here to debate you or like, try to change your mind. I'm really curious. I want to hear your thoughts on things. And so we had a very civil conversation. These are young, these are college age guys, right? And so it was really interesting. And I was like, so let me guess, you don't like women. And he just got this smug little look on his face. And he's like, oh, we love women. And I'm like, okay, let me rephrase. You believe women should just like be barefoot pregnant at home. And he's like, well, yes, we believe in the traditional family values. I go, and I suppose you believe women shouldn't vote. And he was like, well, we don't think anyone should vote because we believe in a monarchy, but that was besides the point. But yes, he believed women should vote. So interesting, right? You've got me, like a hardcore feminist, sitting across from this guy. Anyway, we had a great conversation, and Mercedes introduced me to the Older Millennial, which that caused, holy fuck, did that cause a stir on the internet? And people are like, see, she didn't really. So let me back up. Mercedes used to be MAGA. As of last August, so only a year ago, she saw, because of debates like Destiny, I think it was actually Destiny, um, because of debates like that, she realized she was on the wrong side of history. She was raised in a conservative family, was just told to be conservative and never questioned it. And then she started questioning things when she started seeing debates like Destiny's. And so now she voted for Kamala Harris in this past election. And now, like I said, she's part of the heading up the creator side of the UFA tour. Um, and so there was quite the drama over on the TikToks about, see, Mercedes is still MAGA. I think she's just a spy. She's a plant. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with the Liberal Party? Like, what the fuck is wrong with us? This is our problem. We eat our own. Like, if somebody so much as a sliver of something wrong, they just fucking attack. And like the Republicans don't do that to each other. Like it's just like, oh my God, we get attacked enough from the right. We don't need to be attacking each other in our own party. Um, and I was there. She literally spent like 1 minute talking to the Older Millennial. That was it. She moved on. And like it fucking broke the internet on TikTok the next day. And then Never Woke was there, Greg on Fire, some of these bigger names in the MAGA circles. And you know what? They're all so nice. Like we had great conversations. Um, some of these folks lean more moderate than we realize. And they just like to cause a stir on social media. So anyway, it was really interesting. It was interesting to watch Destiny debate. I was never involved in debate like in high school or college. I find it kind of boring. Um, and I'm like, when is this going to get exciting? And then it did. It eventually did get kind of heated. But Destiny is a very like he's a pretty chill. So Corey, one of our fellow creators, was telling me like there was a few points that he could have totally crushed. So after he had his main debate with Austin, we then opened up the floor. Anybody could debate with him. And so again, it's a lot of these college students who don't have a whole ton of experience debating. And there was a few points where Destiny could have crushed him with his answer. And you could tell the person was really nervous and kind of stumbling on their words. And he was so kind and gave them so much grace because he could have just crushed them and shut them down. And he didn't. He gave them the opportunity to find their words and to have a proper debate with him. So and I know there's a shit ton of drama. Like I had no idea who Destiny was going into this. And there's a shit ton of debate around Destiny, no pun intended with that word. Like he's a Zionist. He throws out the R word, the F word, um, gay slang, F word. And it's like I see both sides of it. And I've worked really hard because I started as a TBI advocate. So I've worked really hard to get people not to use the R word. And because it's an ableist term, it's derogatory towards disabled people. But in the context of him using it, he wasn't saying like you are R word. It was just like that's R. Um and while I don't agree with his usage of it, I also understand the point that he's trying to appeal to the right. And by using these words, they're like, oh, he threw that word out there. Okay, so he's not so censored. He's not that woke, right? Um, so like I see both sides of what's happening here. But I've gotten some serious DMs about don't associate with Destiny. He's he's not, he's not really a liberal and he uses derogatory terms. And again, I don't necessarily agree with him using those terms, but I also understand because the right does not censor themselves, right? Um, that's a whole other story. But when he uses, because he did use the R word that night, and I remember being like, "What did he just say?" And then Corey kind of like explained to me the situation. I was like, "Okay, all right." Um, so I didn't get my undies too much in a bundle over it. Um, Overall, this group of people on the UFA tour, we are all working together for a common core, a common cause, um, to have a blue wave, right? In the midterms, in the next election, um, to try and take down the misinformation that keeps circulating in Charlie's TPUSA circles because they are funded. They get funding from the RNC, you guys. The RNC gives Charlie Kirk money to run TPUSA. The left has nothing like that. There's nothing out there at all that is equivalent to TPUSA. And Z is trying to, her ultimate goal is to turn the UFA into something similar, right? That rivals Charlie's TPUSA. So anyway, it's the people, all of the creators, all of the staff from National Ground Game that were there, everybody is just incredible humans. I just felt like we were one big family. Um, and oh, the other piece of drama. So Z is pregnant. I think she was 5 weeks pregnant, something like that. And she forgot to bring any of her signage with. And so she had told the staff to find some cardboard. And in her head, she meant, like poster board, but got lost in interpretation. And somebody showed up with a cardboard box and they cut it into a big piece of cardboard. And so our signage was handwritten Sharpie on cardboard. And so the MAGA creators were trolling us for that. And I'm like, really? That's all you got? That's like the worst thing you can criticize us about is that we had handwritten cardboard signs. Okay. It just shows how grassroots we truly are. Um, but yeah, so we got trolled for that, but whatever. Like, seriously, who cares? And I mean, to be fair, Charlie Kirk's production it's high end. There is no cardboard signs at Charlie's production of TPUSA, but again, he gets millions of dollars from the RNC. Anyway, so that night we all went back feeling very accomplished. We sat out by the pool for it was 12:30 before I went to my room. Um, and Z was sitting there, she was getting some text, and she's like, "Who has a flight to Dallas to DFW?" I'm like, "Well, my flight goes through Dallas." And she's like, "Your flight's canceled." I'm like, "No, it's not." Pull it up, and my flight was canceled. And there was nothing going out on Sunday for me to get back here to Arizona. So they were going to put me on a different airline. It was going to cost like another $600. And I'm like, you know what? I have a friend here in Tampa. I really wouldn't mind staying one more night. It's cheaper to pay for my room for one more night. And she's like, done. So I stayed one more night. My friend Brenda came and we were going to do breakfast. But since my flight got canceled, I was like, hey, let's do lunch. I'm going to sleep in a little bit. And then Mercedes and Dom were still there. Ethan was there, and Corey's flight also got canceled. So me, Brenda, Mercedes, Dom, and Corey all went to breakfast or lunch. And we just had great conversations. Mercedes was live streaming the whole time we were there. It was kind of funny. She's got quite the following on TikTok. Um, and we talked about how we truly, none of us had met, but now we felt like family and chosen family, right? Um, and Corey is also, he's like 40. So he's the next closest to me in age. And we were just talking about how we felt like nobody made us feel old. We felt like we really were part of this family, and um, like we felt very accomplished. And there was no drama like between us. There was no drama between any of us on the tour. The only drama was external looking in, people trying to stir up drama. Um, so very successful. Anyway, we came home, and so Charlie is guarding his dates and locations and keeping them close to the chest, and he only announces them a few weeks out. So we're not sure when his next tour will be, because they usually kick off when colleges start, because they're always at college campuses. And then his America Fest is December 20th in Phoenix, Arizona. So we are 100% going to that one. So December 20th will be the day of our event. Sorry, I got hiccups all of a sudden. And again, that'll be in Phoenix, Arizona. And there will probably be a few pop-up stops along the way, but that is the main one that we are gearing up for. And we are each creator is being asked to bring in $2,000 through our Act Blue link. And that covers, because they pay for all of our expenses. And she figured it out that it costs around $2,800 per creator to bring us and pay for our expenses. So she's asking us each to try and bring in at least 2,000 for each leg of the tour that we do. So I do need your support to donate through my Act Blue link, which I'll have that link below. It's a political link. If you've ever done a political donation, it is always through Act Blue. And it whatever you can spare towards the campaign, whether it's $5, $100, whatever fits into your comfort, it would be greatly appreciated to help keep me on this tour. It's something I do really believe in. I'm really looking forward to, and I really do kind of love trolling Charlie, and you all seem to like it too. So, um, oh, um, so anyway, this got longer than I expected it to be. So thank you for sticking around. But I told you I'd do a full debrief and share everything that happened. Um, the creators are doing a lot of lives. I think it'll be every Thursday now on TikTok. 8, I can't remember if that was 8 Eastern or 8 Central. But they're gonna try and do kick or keep, where one of us will be the main debater, and then MAGA folks can come onto the live, and people can Venmo a minimum of $10 to kick or keep the panelist. Like, oh, get them out of here. Here's $10, or keep them. No, let's keep them, and they can outbid each other as a way to also raise funds for the tour. Um, so yeah, thank you all so much. You guys are the reason I even got to be part of this tour. You guys helped me grow. I'm currently at 90,000 followers on Instagram. I'm almost about to hit 600 on TikTok, but I've only been on there for a few weeks. So, um, it's because of you guys that I've grown and got noticed by the UFA tour and asked to be a part of this. So I thank you all so much. Thank you for being here on Patreon. Thank you for being on Instagram, on TikTok, on Threads, Facebook, wherever it is that you follow me on all my platforms. I appreciate you. And if you're able to donate, you can give through the Act Blue link. Subscribing on Patreon goes directly to me. I also have a Venmo link in my bio if you feel moved to help support me in all of my endeavors in general, not just the UFA tour. I appreciate you all so much. I also have a wish list for things I need for my RV life. And Some of you have just been really incredible. I love getting random little Amazon gifts in the mail. It's so much fun. Just be sure you include a gift tag in there so I know who it's from. So anyway, thank you all for watching. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for your support. Be sure to follow all of our other creators as well on the UFA tour. And we all have a different style. So you get a little buffet. All right. See you, everyone.